Downwell is a game I've been playing pretty often this last week or so I thought to myself, in the meantime, why not make a video about it? Downwell is a game where you play as some guy who decided to jump down a well and has to fight off hordes of monsters to reach, I don't know, the core of the earth, I guess? Yeah, there is no real story here. Let's just leave it up to game theory to connect this game to the Illuminati and Satan. In this game, you only have two moves, jumping and shooting bullets from your gun boots. You'll be using these two moves to kill hordes of monsters you may encounter in this well. Enemies can come from a wide variety. There are ones that are easy to kill, annoying, dumb bitch, and get the fuck away from me! Something I like about this game is how they actually use a color palette consisting of only 3 colors to actually convey how enemies work. For example, you see these blob enemies that are only red at the bottom? This means I can jump on them just fine without taking damage, but if they touch me from above, I'll lose health. And if there's an enemy that's only red, that means your gun boots are your only means of taking care of them. Being restricted to only 2 ways of killing enemies does a good job of keeping you on your toes, since eventually your gun boots will run out of ammo with the only way to reload them is to touch the ground. Because of these rules, you can achieve combos by killing lots of enemies without touching the ground. The game even rewards you for getting high combos with gems and maybe even more health. You can actually unlock more color palettes from playing the game, which is cool, but to be honest, I didn't use them all that much. I wasn't a big fan of the ones that changed the black background because it just made things look too saturated in my opinion, so I usually stuck with ones that changed the basic red from something else, if not just a standard palette. But back to the enemies, I swear to god, some of these enemies can be a huge pain in the ass. If you don't kill these bats as soon as you see them, they will literally chase you to the end of the damn universe. Then they'll be chasing you for the rest of the stage because it's like impossible to kill enemies that are above you, and since they're small and usually at the top of the screen, you don't notice them, and so you focus on other enemies, and oop, you just died to a fucking bat, and oop, I just met control of my TV, and I have to get it repaired. Downwell features elements you find in roguelike games, but in this game, there's a larger emphasis on one's own skill rather than relying on RNG to get good items. Every single floor in this game is randomly generated, from the enemies you'll encounter down to the ground you walk on. In the levels themselves, you'll find a few rooms tucked to the sides that can contain things such as gems, more health if you're low, and some gun modules, which are items that can alter the way your gun boots shoot. The gun modules specifically can force you to actually think about picking them up or not, since sometimes you'll be presented with a module you may not be too fond of, but it'll come with extra health. Every so often, you can even find a shop that you can buy upgrades with the gems you collect from killing enemies or finding a room with them. The upgrades you'll find in the shops usually aren't too substantial, they're mostly just increases to health or ammo, but they are welcome additions because this game can be really unforgiving with the number of enemies it throws at you, like most other roguelikes. The more run-chasing upgrades can be found whenever you finish a floor. The game will offer you a few random items in which you can only choose one to keep for the rest of the run. Until you, fucking die, of course. Honestly, I don't think I can remember a single upgrade in this game that I found to be bad or completely useless. As the name implies, they're upgrades, but I will admit I do prefer some over others. Like, I always take the apple upgrade no matter what, because considering how I'm dog shit at this game, an extra 4 health points can be really beneficial. Oh, but the drone upgrade is actually our Lord and Savior. I don't know what this Jesus shit that all these stupid Christians keep talking about. This right here is our God. This man will tear everything in his path to shreds, but unfortunately it's quite rare, so I don't expect to find it that often. Downwell is divided into 4 stages, with each stage featuring 3 floors. Most of the floors will usually take you a minute or a minute and a half, depending on if you just rush through or take them to kill enemies and rack up combos. You'll start out in the cavern, which is easily the easiest stage in the game compared to the rest. Besides the bats that gave me PTSD that I still haven't fully recovered from to this very day, there aren't a whole lot of tough enemies here. Most of them you can probably kill with just a bop on the head. On top of that, this is the stage you'll start out in every single run, so you'll probably master it in no time. Next up, we have the catacombs, and this is where the game starts ramping up the difficulty. Well, as a newbie, the caverns can still be quite tough, but compared to that, everything is just generally harder here. As for the new enemies, we have these ghosts that never fucking die, these skeletons that will chuck bones at you from a mile away and make me want to commit 37 different war crimes in the name of Allah. Even the floor isn't safe here, since if you stand on it for too long, the spikes will appear and kick your ass. For the third stage, we have Aquafire, and wait a minute, hold the phone. Does that say aqua? The aqua as in the Latin prefix meaning water, used in words such as aquaculture, aquarium, aquatic, aqueduct, that aqua? Yeah, this is the water level, and let's be honest, who the fuck likes water levels? Just think about it, you're slower, you have floatier jumps, and you have limited air before you suffocate. How do you enjoy this? Actually, there is one water stage I like. That one is called Drowning in the Ocean, because at least in that game, once you're dead, you can stop having to think about the damn bat! Literally, the only water level that's ever been good in the video game is Hydro City from Sonic 3, and that's because half the stage isn't even on water. Anyway, so in this level, you're in a bubble, slowly losing air to breathe, so to gain your air back, you have to shoot any blue marked objects to regain a fraction of that original amount. Not only will it always have a prejudice against water levels, but sometimes since the game is so fast-paced and engaging, sometimes it'll turn a blind eye to things that restore your air, then you pass them up, but then you realize you just fucked up and now you're dead. You can also find these corals on the ground pretty often that will damage you, so watch out for those. As for the enemies on this floor, I never actually really found any annoying ones. The real tough part about this stage is trying to restore your air whilst not taking damage because of the overabundance of enemies this game throws at you. The 4th level in this game is called Limbo, but to be honest, I haven't actually reached it yet because I keep fucking dying on Aquafire 3. Just looking at gameplay from others, this shit looks brutal. I guess Downwell guy really did reach his goal for getting to the core of the earth. Remember how I pointed out how in the catacombs, only the 2nd level that even the ground wasn't safe? Yeah, well at least there you could touch the ground for a short period of time. Now you can't touch it at all, with the only exception being shops and rooms with health and shit. The only way you'll be able to regain ammo is either by landing on enemies' heads, which pretty much seems impossible since all the enemies here are pure red, or landing on these floating cars. And wait, why the fuck are there floating cars down a well? Seriously, this shit looks hard as fuck. We're gonna need to invent a whole new word to describe how painful this is. I'm thinking we should call it Among Us! I've heard that after you beat all 4 of those stages, you have to face the final boss, which I haven't seen nor gotten to myself, so that'll just be a surprise for me, I guess. If you ever get bored of the standard gameplay style, you can always switch things up and change your style, which can be unlocked by playing the game more. First, you have the arm spin style, which makes it so you can only find gun modules in non-shop rooms, as well as actual shops being extremely rare. And you can also swing your arms from side to side. Come on, it's time to go do the Mario. Next up, we have the levitate style, which is basically the standard style, but you fall slower, giving players an easier opportunity to rack up high combos, which you should go for, so this game rewards you for doing so. I'm just being completely honest, once you unlock this style, I see no reason to really go back to the standard style, because there are really no drawbacks to the levitate style. Next up, we have my personal favorite, the boulder style. Right off the bat, you'll start with 2 extra health points, which already makes me hard, since I suck ass at this game. The only drawback from having more health is having fewer upgrades to choose from at the end of each floor, which isn't a huge compromise. It can basically be reduced entirely if you happen to get the youth upgrade, so after I unlocked it, I mostly stuck with this one. Last but definitely least, we have the handstand style. This guy gets a pretty nice discount in all shops, but as a result, gets absolutely no upgrades at the end of each floor, so he's basically the guy you play as if you really hate yourself. Apart from that, that's pretty much all Downwell has to offer. It's a pretty addictive game in my opinion, but it isn't as deep as other roguelikes like The Binding of Isaac, for example. I recommend you pick up this game, being available for only $3 on Nintendo Switch, PS4, iOS and Android, Steam, and PS Vita, if people still have those nowadays. It does require quite a lot of skill and can be unforgiving, but I do think you'll get a good hour or 2 out of it. Anyways, that'll do it for this video. Yes, I promise I'm still working on the 3D World review, and with all that out of the way, I'll see you guys next time.